Ladies and gentlemen, not only did the Supreme Court rule that, well, they're looking at the question of whether President Trump has the right to dispute congressional demands for financial records, which is hilarious because one of the articles of obstruction is obstruction of Congress. The issue is that Jerry Nadler and Adam Schiff are saying, well, no, President Trump and everyone around him must stop what they're doing, disclose financial records, testify under oath immediately without disputing, without the Supreme Court deciding whether this is constitutional. Well, Trump was never going to allow New York judges to decide whether or not he had to comply with an overtly political scam. This is political in nature. This is not, he didn't commit a crime by trying to investigate, by asking the Ukraine to investigate Biden or Hunter Biden, who are up to their cornflakes in corruption. We also know, because of these conflicts of interest that Biden and his son have, I mean, just read the New York Post and how Hunter Biden spends his money. Very interesting. And now he lost the paternity case where the lady is demanding how much he received from Burisma. But Marie Yovanovitch is in the news now. So not only do you have, I mean, they can't win. Marie Yovanovitch was the impeachment witness, the former ambassador that said, well, Trump had it in for her. The hilarious thing is that her testimony was completely undermined the notion that Biden or his son were free of any guilt or any conflicts of interest or possible corruption or possible misconduct. She literally stated, this is a C-SPAN article, before we get to Rudy Giuliani having evidence that she committed perjury, she literally stated that President Obama's own administration gave her talking points regarding Hunter Biden's and the vice president's conflicts of interest. Check this out. This is Elise Stefanik, Representative New York. Amazing, strong, intelligent, just absolutely the epitome of leadership. This woman is amazing. Here, check this out. I'm talking about Elise Stefanik.
In terms of defensive lethal aid, which you were an advocate for, that was not provided by President Obama.
Oh my God, why isn't this not?
By President Trump.
That's correct.
I yield back 5 seconds.
Mr. Himes, you're recognized.
Ambassador, thank you for your testimony today.
Hold on one second. Where is this thing?
Yes.
And in your testimony, you said today the investigation was never formally closed because, quote, it's frankly useful to keep that company hanging on a hook, right? That's your quote.
Yeah, the Ukrainian investigation was never closed.
Partnered with the U.S. and the UK.
As I understand it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, although because we didn't see the Ukrainians moving forward on that, we no longer partner with them on that case or in that way.
But let's take a step back. The first time you personally became aware of Burisma was actually when you were being prepared by the Obama State Department for your Senate confirmation hearings. And this was in the form of practice questions and answers. This was your deposition. And you testified that in this particular practice Q&A with the Obama State Department, it wasn't just generally about Burisma and corruption, it was specifically about Hunter Biden and Burisma. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
The President Obama's administration actually gave her talking points on the potential misconduct, potential conflicts of interest, and potential corruption pertaining to Hunter Biden. That is exactly what Trump wanted to find out. The notion that he had no reason to ask the Ukraine to investigate Hunter Biden's activities is completely obliterated by Marie Yovanovitch, who, by the way, Marie Yovanovitch has, Rudy Giuliani, we'll get to that in a second, has information that not only did she perjure herself regarding this, because she stated, nobody ever told me anything about Hunter Biden. Then she said, well, yeah, he got talking points. But let's continue, because this is a C-SPAN Okay, impeachment hearing with former Ukrainian ambassador Marie Yovanovitch. This is at 2 hours, 30 minutes, and 40 seconds. A little before 2 hours. This is 2 hours, 30 minutes, and 40 seconds, a little bit before the 40-second mark, after 2 hours and 30 minutes in. C-SPAN. Okay, but you can just play this segment back, because I don't want to, lose this. But check out what else she says.
And the exact quote from your testimony, Ambassador, is, quote, "The way the question was phrased in this model Q&A was, what can you tell us about Hunter Biden's, being named to the board of Burisma?" So for the millions of Americans watching, President Obama's own State Department was so concerned about potential conflicts of interest from Hunter Biden's role at Burisma that they raised it themselves while prepping this wonderful ambassador nominee before her confirmation. And yet our Democratic colleagues and the chairman of this committee cry foul when we dare ask that same question that the Obama State Department was so concerned about. But we will continue asking it. And lastly, in my 20 seconds left, I just want to get it on record. In terms of defensive lethal aid, which you were an advocate for, that was not provided by President Obama. It was provided by President Trump.
That's correct.
So here you get, not only do you have Marie Yovanovitch stating categorically that lethal aid was only given by Trump and not by President Obama. Gee, who do you think Putin is more fearful of, Trump or President Obama, who did not give lethal aid to the Ukraine? Did not. Whereas Trump did. Instead of giving lethal aid, President Obama not only did not, but also didn't veto the sale of 20% of U.S. uranium capacity. So Putin got 20% of U.S. uranium capacity and no lethal aid to the Ukraine. Wow, he's so frightened of Democrats. Oh my God, he's so frightened. How do we know? Because James Clapper said he is. Oh, that's why. Now you have, very interesting, Rudy Giuliani. Not only did Marie Yovanovitch possibly commit perjury regarding her answer about, I never knew anything about Hunter Biden. Oh yeah, President Obama's administration gave me talking points. That's right. I forgot that. Now you have this. This is really interesting. This is Giuliani like an hour ago on Fox.
Her out of the way, but you're a personal attorney for the president, so why do you need her out of the way?
I didn't need her out of the way. I forced her out because she's corrupt. I came back with a document that will show unequivocally that she committed perjury when she said that she turned down the visa for Mr. Shokin because of corruption. The fact is, on the record, in the State Department's own records, the reason given is because he had an operation, hadn't recovered yet. The operation, of course, was 2 years before.
So Shokin is the prosecutor that Biden was bragging about firing. Okay, so that never... Okay, so that... the reason given, well, you know what? He didn't investigate corruption, which is exactly what President Trump says. Yeah, I didn't give the aid initially because we wanted to make sure that this country accused of corruption was going to receive the assistance without any, oligarchs or government officials taking the money for themselves. Hence the corruption, the same defense that Biden uses for forcing out the prosecutor, who happened to be, coincidentally, looking into the corporation funneling millions to his son. Notice how Democrats are, no problem, it was corruption. It was corruption. That's why Biden forced out the prosecutor. But then when Trump says, oh yeah, I waited, not because I'm so afraid of the no malarkey bus tour, but I was only interested in Biden says, yeah, I forced out the I forced out the prosecutor because of corruption. He didn't investigate corruption. Trump says, yeah, we withheld the money because of the corruption. Democrats are like, no, you can't say that. You withheld because you were really afraid of Biden and cornflakes. No, but let's continue.
Documentary evidence that she committed perjury. I have 4 witnesses who will testify that she personally turned down their visas because they were going to come here and give evidence either against Biden or against the Democratic Party. There's no question that she was acting corruptly in that position and had to be removed. She should have been fired if the State Department weren't part of the deep state.
But why didn't? But I have a question. Pompeo is someone I know you have an enormous amount of respect for, Secretary of State. I certainly do. Why not? Why doesn't the president go to Pompeo and say, we have concerns, I want my own person? That's just normal. Presidents put their own people in all the time. Big deal. So why doesn't it go from the president to Pompeo? Why does it go from you to the powers
it didn't go from me to the president. First one to go to the president was Pete Sessions, and then a number of congressmen who said that she was saying that he's going to be impeached. And then when I interviewed witnesses, not just Mr. Lutsenko, 4 other witnesses, they told me that she was specifically holding up visas in order to obstruct the investigation of collusion in the Ukraine and specifically to obstruct the Biden investigation. I have that testimony under oath.
So the interesting thing is that the impeachment witness, in addition, you have the Supreme Court ruling against a key article of impeachment, which was the obstruction of Congress. They're looking into whether Trump can dispute. Not only they're looking into, they've actually ruled the fact that they're looking into it is a ruling, a de facto ruling that, yeah, you can dispute any congressional subpoena at any point in time. You don't have to drop what you're doing and listen to Adam Schiff or Jerry Nadler, especially if there's no specific criminal act that you're accused of. But anyway, let's say even if they accuse him of a specific criminal act, which is nonsense, Hunter Biden's and Joe Biden's potential corruption isn't a thing of value. They're saying, well, we're going to decide whether these demands for financial records are even constitutional. So they might rule against Democrats. And not only are they saying that they have no right to accuse Trump of obstruction of justice because obstruction of Congress, because he's not obstructing Congress by taking it to the Supreme Court, but now you have Marie Yovanovitch, who, with Representative Elise Stefanik, admitted and possibly committed perjury because she said, well, I never knew anything about Hunter Biden, admitted that President Obama's administration gave her talking points regarding Hunter Biden's conflicts of interest, which are the reasons that President Trump asked for the investigation, and he had every right to, from the Ukraine, and he wasn't interfering in the election. You know who interfered in this election? Mueller, Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, all of them, because they spent 3 years going into President Trump's administration trying to tarnish Trump on a dossier that Clinton purchased. They literally interfere in the election because millions of people actually believe still that Trump worked with Russia, and he never did. But Russia didn't interfere in the election. How many people saw Facebook ads? Did the Facebook ads give Clinton the popular vote? Did the DNC email hack, alleged, because they're only certain, they're only highly confident, they're not certain. Did the DNC hack of emails that showed that Debbie Wasserman Schultz cheated Bernie Sanders, did those emails give Clinton the popular vote? Because they got the popular vote. So I thought she defeated Trump already. Which one is it? She says she was cheated by Russia, but then she says, oh, well, we defeated Trump. Which one is it? You obviously didn't defeat Trump, but you got the popular vote, which is a Pyrrhic victory. It means nothing. It only shows that you outspent him 2-1. And Clinton's going to run again in 2020. All of this is nonsense. The impeachment is predicated upon the fear that Democrats think Trump has of Biden. Not even Cornflakes, is afraid of Biden anymore. They didn't interfere in the election or swing states. I wrote, you can look at the segment below. It's in the pinned comment. One of my first segments on this channel, Clinton is unelectable due to swing states and favorability ratings. And I wrote that in the Huffington Post, The Hill and Salon. The articles are below in the pinned comment. Check them out. They're below. By the way, I might not do a live stream tonight. So to my 14 to 15 minute crowd, if you're expecting a live stream, I might not do it. I might, but I might not. But But you have the Supreme Court, and then you have Marie Yovanovitch, who, this is interesting. Let's listen to a little bit more.
I gave it to the State Department. They never investigated a single witness. When they say that she's innocent, it's innocent without investigation.
Well, yeah, what they say, Rudy,
It is a cover-up.
Yeah, what they say is that she's the one. The entire hearing, she was saying, well, I'm the one, and everyone else who knew her, she was there fighting corruption. She was the corruption fighter, and Rudy was just pushing the interests of the president.
I also have tape recordings with Ukrainian officials, including career prosecutors, who say that during the Obama era, the corruption in Ukraine became substantially worse, and that she was a contributor to the corruption. For example, remember when she was asked at the end by Jim Jordan about how many things the Ukrainians had done, the statements that were made that he should be destroyed, his campaign should be destroyed, he was insane. The ambassador from Ukraine to the U.S. criticized him. She was asked, did you ever go complain about that to the Ukrainian government? This is foreign interference in our election, right? The answer was no. Also, when she talks about Shokin being corrupt, how come she doesn't talk about the candidate she supported, Poroshenko, who stole everything?
Okay, so the interesting thing here is they say, well, you know, one of the Ukrainian officials didn't like President Trump's stance on Ukraine, and so they wrote an article in The Hill. I believe it was The Hill, and you know they don't view that as interference, because they're like, oh well, that was just the Ukrainian officials' viewpoint. Well, but they don't talk about where were the Ukrainian officials backing Trump, because there were people in the Ukraine who liked Trump. It was always one-sided, but that's not interference according to them. That's like, well, you know, it's natural. It's a natural viewpoint. Anything that bolsters their view is natural and fine. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. This is hilarious. It is a monumental failure of Democrats, as usual. Give me your thoughts. Thank you.